Tennessee has a rich and diverse history, and to showcase it properly, the Tennessee Heritage Trail was recently developed by the state in order to highlight the cultural heritage of its people. In order to maximize your time on the Heritage Trail, it's been divided into 3 distinct pathways: the Arts and Crafts Trail, History Trail, and Music Trail, which has a pathway that leads to diverse styles evolving from 3 cultural regions. Most notably, East Tennessee's Appalachian region, which is known for its folk songs and bluegrass that evolved from immigrant influences of the 1700s. Mr. Mike Doyle of A-State shared his insight into the music of the area and its culture.
I'm Mike Doyle, and I'm on the faculty at ASU in journalism. Well, it's changed over the years. I was radio, TV, and now we're the Department of Multimedia Journalism. I teach in the area of creative media production. My main job is to manage KASU radio, and that's, the love of my life. It's really been a joy the last going on 8 years now.
Mr. Doyle attended graduate school at the University of Tennessee, which is about an hour away from Gatlinburg.
I was there in the, actually starting out in the late 80s and in the early 90s. I spent 2 years total over there. My family wasn't with me. I had a wife and 2 kids, and of course the kids are grown since, but at the time the kids were kind of small, so it was a neat place for them to live. But I was working on a graduate degree, and some of the things we did related to my coursework, like working on a TV feature about sacred harp singing, and I got to go to the Smoky Mountains and shoot some video of people doing that old style of singing in some of those churches up in the mountains. It was beautiful. So a very nice place to do special projects like that.
The mountain music of this area dates back to the 1920s, a time when music was developing.
The music of the southern mountains, because the Appalachians run from really Maine all the way down to Alabama, but there are some little sub-ranges along the way, like the Piedmont and the Blue Ridge and the Smokies. Many of the people who settled in those mountains, like the Smokies, were from, Europe, and especially the British Isles. And so you had the Scottish, and the Irish, and the Welsh, and the English settling there. And a lot of those Scots, Irish, and Welsh people are Celtic people. They had a really great musical tradition. And they brought those songs and tunes with them and their instruments. And so when you're isolated in an area where it's hard to get up in those mountains, hard to get out of them, you rely on family and friends and neighbors. And they would, in each household, often they would have their own musical traditions. They come together for quilting bees and community meals and church functions. And that was sort of their socialization and their entertainment. There were no iPods. There were no Sirius XM, no streaming back then, no radio even until later, no television. And so those musical traditions sort of became just locked in time. And there's a movie called Songcatcher that talks about a researcher in the 1920s from a university going back in there with a recorder and recording people making that kind of music that had been around for centuries. And it tells that story very accurately, I think.
There's many places in Gatlinburg to hear live folk music, like the Old Smoky Moonshine Holler, where you can hear classic folk songs like Man of Constant Sorrow and Rocky Top, which was actually written in Gatlinburg by Boudleaux and Felice Bryant at the Gatlinburg Inn. The song has become a theme song of the University of Tennessee, Mr. Doyle's graduate school alma mater.
I grew up watching country and bluegrass shows on television, and I knew Rocky Top. The Osborne brothers recorded it, but I had no idea the significance of it. Rocky Top is in Tennessee. It's any mountain, really. They refer to the University of Tennessee as Rocky Top. And yes, that's the fight song played by the Tennessee Volunteers prior to the Southland Band, I think it's called. And, at the football games, the basketball games, it's just that runs through those people's blood throughout East Tennessee. They're very proud of their team. It's kind of really more of the state song almost than the real one, which is Tennessee Waltz. But yeah, Rocky Top, I think when I really got how big that song was, one night in Knoxville when I was over there, Vince Gill came to perform an outdoor concert on the banks of the Tennessee River, which runs right through Knoxville. It was a nighttime concert, and of course he had a big stage set up and lights running and a huge PA system, and there were just probably thousands of people scattered all along the bank there, and he felt like, of course, there's the city of Knoxville in the background, just a great place for a concert, and he sang one of his hits, and while that hit was going, he kept that same beat going and broke into Once Two Strangers Climbed Old Rocky Top, and the crowd went nuts because there was Vince singing their song, and someone had primed him for that, I'm sure, and told him, you want to win the hearts of Knoxville, you played Rocky Top. He had to do it, and did it great. And all those screaming, that coupled with the whole, sports tradition, yeah, it's a part of that area.
A love of music runs deep through the Appalachian region, whether you've lived there all your life or just enjoy visiting the area.